9 inches fell in 2 hours. That is like being in a tropical rainstorm. That's like being in a hurricane. It obviously took an incredible amount of rain to cause this kind of damage. We're normally showing you rain on the radar. This is smoke and ash coming out of that fire. You can see exactly where the fire is. F5 tornado moving to the southwest and wiping this subdivision behind me off the map. This is Lake Travis. It hasn't been full in 5 years. Take a look at this. It is cresting right now at 18 feet high. That is one of the highest levels we have ever seen. You're looking at Zilker Park. Barton Springs Pool is in here somewhere. We have a major flood going on Barton Creek right now. I'd love to be at Barton Springs Pool and be looking at that water. I'm sure it's up over the lifeguard stands right now. That is the creek. It is raging at 18,000 cubic feet per second. Don't even think about taking a kayak down to Barton Creek right now, you kayakers. This is life-threatening type flooding. One of the biggest floods I can recall coming down Barton Creek right now, cresting and headed on into Lady Bird Lake. Let's just zoom out one more time. This is just some incredible live video here we're seeing coming from our exclusive Austonian weather camera. Look at that debris there flowing down the lake. That's coming from Barton Creek. That's coming from Shoal Creek. That's coming from what came out of Lake Austin. So it's just a mess right now. What kind of rain did it take to produce these rapid floods today? You're not even going to believe it. It is off the chart. It is something we have never seen before in recorded history. It's unbelievable. It's remarkable. I've just really run out of adjectives. Yeah. We had a lady call today, you told me, that said, right, I'm tired of y'all saying everything's historic. Right. It's historic. Right. It's historic. We take a look at this. We just had today 14.53 inches of rainfall out at the airport. In recorded history, since World War II, when they built Bergstrom Air Force Base, there has never been a 24-hour period that more than 8+ inches of rain fell at ABIA. We had 14.5 this morning. Flash flood alley living up to its name again. This is what Cypress Creek looked like in Wimberley earlier today, flowing over the bridge. Water level is down there tonight. Shops cleaning up at this hour in hopes of reopening tomorrow for Halloween. But the floating pumpkins, the iconic image from these October storms.
That storm changed our understanding of a tornado's destructive force.
It started 27 years earlier in Lubbock, where I traveled to visit the National Wind Institute and see the research that could help you survive the next storm. The old-timers at Lubbock's Pancake House all have a story to tell over a countertop.
In Lubbock County.
The only remaining fixture from the original cafe.
It was on about dark. It just started a tornado and just started wiping out everything.
The building blew away May 11th, 1970.
A lot of boom, boom, boom. Well, after it looked like a bomb went off.
Along with it, 1,000 other homes and businesses, 10,000 cars and trucks, and 26 lives.
And I said, Daddy, we got to get out. We got to turn around.
You can see multiple tornadoes.
Yeah. And Daddy, we got to get out. And he said, Jimbo, we got to go save Mama and the girl.
A rare F5 tornado. Its unfortunate path of destruction up to 2 miles wide through the heart of the city.
But in the backyard, the trees was just swapping over and over like that.
Winds more than 260 miles per hour. Powerful enough to twist a high-rise downtown building. Evidence of the repair still visible today.
There was always a rumor that a tornado never would hit Lubbock. Did you ever hear that?
Yes, I believe that.
But we don't believe it now.
I don't believe it now.
The very next day, research began at what is now known as the National Wind Institute. Research that's saving lives.
3, 2, 1.
That's an EF5 tornado.
Professor Larry Tanner manages the Institute's Debris Impact Facility. Housed at Texas Tech University, it is the world's leading wind damage research program.
The research project fell out of the sky, and so they went to work trying to investigate the storm and rebuild our city.
Quickly exposed the need to study how the damage, injuries, and deaths were caused and what could prevent them.
But then they realized that's only, half of the equation. The other half of the equation is how are we going to resist all this debris that impales all of our structures. It's a pneumatic cannon, I kind of affectionately call you know, a potato gun on steroids. If that had been your house wall, even with a brick veneer on it, it'd gone through that wall. It would have gone through probably the wall across the room from it, and maybe another wall. So it's quite lethal.
The testing pioneered the development of above-ground shelters as researchers learned what materials could hold up under the onslaught of flying debris. But then came Gerald. It's been nearly 20 years since the afternoon tragedy struck 40 miles north of Austin, just south of the Williamson-Bell County line. The tornado moved the opposite direction of most tornadoes, gaining speed and intensity, eventually becoming a full F5 monster, carving out a 7.6-mile path just northwest of the town of Gerald. By the time it barreled through the Double Creek Estate subdivision, it was already 3/4 of a mile wide. Around 40 structures destroyed, 27 deaths. Now, 19 years later, homes rebuilt, a memorial park, and most importantly for the people that live here, a community storm shelter. After Gerald, a renewed national interest in shelters and focus on the Wind Institute's work at Texas Tech. It reinvigorated their research.
That pretty well set us in motion, and been saving lives ever since.
And making surprising discoveries about safe rooms. Conventional wisdom has been, in a tornado like Gerald or Lubbock, you can only survive underground. Not so, say scientists here.
They've been told for years and years that, well, this is an EF5. If you can't get below ground, you can't be safe, and that's just not true.
Shifting winds and record heat again today, making conditions very difficult for firefighters. Camp Mabry, 96 degrees today. Those poor firefighters over there. There has never been a temperature this hot so late in the year. Bastrop County officials have reminded us to remind you that all of Bastrop County is under a outdoor burn ban, obviously, but it's not just Bastrop County. It is every county in our viewing area, so don't do anything that could cause a spark while we have this very high fire danger.
These fires have filled our skies with smoke, even here in Austin.
Yeah, earlier today it prompted many people to call 911, overwhelming dispatchers. From our Austonian camera view, there was a narrow plume of smoke off in the distance. Look how it covers the horizon today. It's a shift in winds that has carried this fire from north to south, back to the north toward Bastrop. Skies are actually clear. These are not clouds. That is smoke that has moved all the way over here into the metro area this afternoon. That is a live view. As a result, our air quality did decrease today into the moderate category in Austin. Now, that is acceptable for most of us, but those with respiratory problems and those that are unusually sensitive to air pollution should reduce your outdoor activity. And we're seeing it on radar. All that smoke and ash in the atmosphere showing up on radar just like rain, except this is all smoke. And on Viper, you can see it's clearly emanating from that area there, from the MD Anderson Science Park northwestward. And we're just learning right now that area there, you see Cottletown Road, Felix Drive, and Hudson Drive all being evacuated. We're already counting up the storms here in central Texas, some devastating, even deadly. 4 in the last 4 weeks, and it's not even Thanksgiving. If past is prologue, get ready for a wild winter.
If you're just joining us, a tornado warning is in effect.
Friday, October 30th.
We have a confirmed tornado.
The Austin metro area wakes to tornado warnings. Travis County has now been placed in a severe thunderstorm warning, then torrential rainfall. 7 inches of rain now in Wimberley. By noon, nearly 15 inches of rain in southeast Austin. A rain rate so unheard of, it should on average in that area occur only once in more than 2,000 years. 3 people drown in the flash flood, and hundreds of homes are damaged or destroyed.
Stop left, hold your hover.
While extreme, it wasn't entirely unexpected. Evidence of a fully formed El Nino actually began a week earlier. Historic rainfall across Texas as the remnants of one of the most powerful hurricanes ever recorded on Earth combined with a second storm system. It happened over F1 race weekend in Austin. 8 inches of rain in the same area of southeast Travis County that would receive nearly twice as much a week later. Race fans from across the Pacific Ocean can blame the very water they flew over. Today, with buoys and satellites, science has sophisticated means of measuring and predicting this 2 to 7 year cycle of warming that stretches across the Pacific. To find out just what this El Nino is doing, we went to the NOAA Center for Weather and Climate Prediction in Maryland and learned this year's warm cycle may go down in history.
Right now it looks to be one that will be somewhere in the top three. Whether or not it becomes the strongest we've seen, the second or third strongest is still to be determined.
And last week, the water in those El Nino regions of the Pacific became the warmest ever recorded. It's altering the atmosphere and the track of the jet stream. And if Central Texas is already seeing soaking rain from this pattern, what might the months ahead hold? One of the possible outcomes of El Nino is welcome, a refill of our highland lakes. This is Lake Travis. It hasn't been full in 5 years. And upstream, Lake Buchanan was last full 7 years ago. And the floodgates beneath me and up on Buchanan Dam were last opened 8 years ago. But it's entirely possible with a strong El Nino that these lakes not only fill up, they go into the flood pool. Something the LCRA is always prepared for, but people on these lakes may not be. No one can predict another El Nino Christmas flood of 1991. 5 floodgates releasing water as Lake Travis climbed to its highest level ever.
Please come up to higher ground with your valuables or anything that you can carry with you right now.
But the last El Nino, as strong as the current, took Lake Travis nearly as high again in 1997, requiring 4 floodgates to control the water.
People need to respect the force of this water. They need to respect the dynamic nature of these events and be very, very tuned into what's happening in their local area. It's not just keeping up with the news and the National Weather Service, it's also paying attention to what's happening outside their door.
A rise on the river never witnessed before. A flood made worse even before the rain began. A foot of rain had already fallen in May, saturating the ground in the upper Blanco River Basin. Then, in just 4 hours, directly over the headwaters of the Blanco, 6 inches of rain, and another 6 to 7 inches fell that night, miles away from Wimberley and San Marcos, but cascading into a funnel-like canyon, gaining momentum and height, 20 feet in 1 hour. Ultimately, a 35 feet rise in 3 hours before eventually topping out over 40 feet when it destroyed the river gauge, 7 feet higher than the highest level ever recorded in 1929. It was a classic setup for a hill country flash flood. Yet another storm system approaching from the west, one of many in May. A tropical jet stream fueled by a warming Pacific Ocean, the first El Nino in 5 years. Add in near record tropical moisture in the atmosphere, diverging air aloft, keeping the storms developing over and over, and a low-level flow from the Gulf riding up the higher terrain of the hill country escarpment, fueling the storms. The rest, chance. Take the bullseye just a few miles north, it's a Pedernales River flood, and Lake Travis fills up. A few miles south, and it's a flood on the Guadalupe. But as fate would have it, it's another Memorial Day weekend tragedy in Central Texas, eerily familiar to 34 years earlier when 13 died along a raging Shoal Creek in Austin. We have plenty of river flooding to talk about, but even downtown Austin wasn't immune from all the rain that continued to fall Memorial Weekend. 2 days after the rain started falling, Shoal Creek crested at 21 feet, the highest level since the '81 flood, flooding businesses on Lamar and others nearby. And just an incredible time-lapse video of Lake Travis. The long drought led to the Sometimes Peninsula, but through the course of this storm, the Sometimes Islands return. Just a tremendous amount of rain with an incredible impact on our area lakes.